Mr. Christian Webb. Welcome to the Appetite for Discussion podcast, sir. How you doing?
Doing good, man. Thanks for the beer. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you, Red Buffalo, Joe Bonnie, for letting us host here again. So, Christian, we actually were introduced, this first time we met, to I think he's an employee of yours? Or he works with you, or just a mutual friend?
Yeah, Austin. Yes, Austin's a fantastic team member. And he was nice enough to introduce me to this podcast. And Brandon, I appreciate this.
Yeah, man, absolutely. Anytime, anything we do to help learn something new and promote some business or whatnot. So actually tell me what it is that, what you do, because I have no idea.
Well, we own two marketing firms. We have business partner Resarl and out of Cornelius. We own BMSG, which is Business Marketing Solutions Group. Don't torture me for the name. It's like the longest email ever known to man. And I keep trying to talk to my business partner to let us just do BMSG.
Sure.
And then we decide that helps like medium to large size companies, and decided to open another company that's BCB, which is just big construction branding, where we focus on helping contractors, commercial and residential contractors with marketing.
Okay, so that's kind of like more like a blue collar side to what you guys are doing to help these guys.
Yeah.
Small startup companies are trying to learn what to do. Like, how do they get the word out there? And you guys help hold their hand and walk them through that, right?
Exactly. So we have the residential side of construction, which is exactly what you just said. Basically, a lot of startups, people who are just like made a whole bunch of money or some money during the times when word of mouth is the only way to make money, right? And now they're starting to realize that they're getting beat by this 22-year-old person that just started doing roofs because they're just willing to post their jobs and organize them on social media platforms so people can see them to actually buy it, right?
So that's a real thing. So really and truly, you could have someone come into that market or any other market and have little to no experience, but yet they have such a social media savvy, or they have just some exposure to it, as opposed to the 45, 55-year-old person who's been doing it for 20, 30 years, and they're seeing a decline, but yet this youngster is seeing such an increase in business.
Absolutely. I can give you a perfect example right now. Let's say I open up a roofing company tomorrow. I have to have money, but I have to look nice, right? To do this. But let's say I open a roofing company tomorrow, and I only want to deal with your top 1%. I only want to deal with your big neighborhoods, $1 million plus, and that's it. So I'm going to buy all the right safety equipment. I'm going to buy all the netting that lets me get the shingles off the roof nice and clean. I have a giant logo on the side. Every job I do inside of these big communities that are matching the brand that I want to portray, I videotape the job before it's done, but before and after. I then, sometimes if you can, get a testimonial from the person who lives in that large house that's going to let you do the job. You obviously get the after video, and then if there's any planning involved, because it's a larger project, you videotape some of that planning. Now, I could have 100 jobs in the next 2 or 3 years of just me dealing with 1 million plus homes.
Yeah.
Who are you going to go to? You're going to go to the guy who has nothing on social media. He says he does big homes, or the person who actually has 100 jobs before and after, video testimonials, everything on their platforms.
Oh, yeah, you're definitely picking that guy.
Yeah, all day, just because there's no room for error there. Like you trust it. There's a whole bunch of reviews. Now they can still do the small jobs. Sure. The trick is don't show it.
Right, I gotcha.
Try to build the brand.
Right, that's a good point. Because even though you're doing small jobs, you don't want it to take away from your brand of wanting to be in that top 1%.
Sometimes you have to do both sides too, right? Like you want to still make money. So if you don't have a whole bunch of large jobs in the beginning, you have to still pick up the small ones to make ends meet. But make sure the only things you show are what you want your brand to actually capitalize on.
That makes sense.
It's hard to erase, right? If I have a whole bunch of content on social media, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, whatever, I have to go backwards and like filter out all that and delete things to make it look congruent if I didn't do it in the beginning.
So is it worth people, like if they're starting a business and they just dump a bunch of money into Google Ads? I hear all the time, as a small business owner, I get contacted daily
about Google Ads.
Oh my gosh, every day about, let's talk about your Google Ads. Let's spend some money. Have you really captured, and it's like, no, click, because I don't even want to go through the spiel. So is it worth dumping money into Google when you can have free advertising on social media sites?
So it's two different. I like to think of it this way. I don't mind one or the other. What I like to think about on it though is like, are you lazy, or are you lazy with a lot of money, or do you actually need to push that? Do you actually need to push that market forward? Right? So on social media platforms, if you're doing content, or doing here somewhere.
Oh, it's back there. There.
It's okay. This is why we do it live. Sorry. No problem, Joe. What you were saying?
Yeah, so basically, Google Ads is more of like your lazy way out, but at the same time, it's if you have a whole bunch of money and you are actually just don't want to do the social media content, you don't want to do that stuff all the time to make yourself known. If you spend enough money on Google Ads, you'll destroy your competition. You'll soak up all the people searching on Google for those leads. You won't have to do anything. They'll just come through. You have to have a good sales process, good customer service, good referral questions so that you can get more business, right? Now, if you're on the other side, you don't want to spend all that money and you want to actually have that organic content, you want to go back through and you want to create events, you want to create safety meetings, you want to create those testimonials, you want to get those posted on every social media platform you can, and you want to make sure you're pushing that constantly. And then you'll get that organic traffic. You can still put money behind that kind of stuff too. Sure. Like $100 here and there will put you in front of thousands of people in the right communities too. That's the power of social media and actually controlling that part is you can literally put all of your money in front of the exact audience that you want to call you. So I can literally market only your neighborhood every single time I put a campaign.
Really?
If I wanted to. Yes, absolutely.
It's that simple.
It's that simple. I can do it by zip code. I can do it by neighborhood. I can do it by the size of your house. It's a lot.
I didn't realize you guys could get down deep into like the minutia of the data of what you're actually looking for, like pinpoint.
If I couldn't, it'd waste a lot of money. Like I have a couple of large customers that do a lot of investments, right? They're looking for accredited investors, looking for people who have money that can actually invest in these large properties and stuff. If I'm not able to actually dial down on LinkedIn and actually organize it to where it only reaches accredited investors, when it reaches people who have fund money to actually invest in things, then I'm going to spend all their marketing budget before I ever reach somebody who can actually be a qualified candidate. Really? Yeah. So, but I need to make sure I have that narrowed down to every single person, at least almost every single person who matches the exact template of an avatar they can purchase.
So if you have someone who's starting a small business, it is growing and it is more organic, and they're right there at the threshold of now what's the next step? What do we do? We're able to manage, but they can see on the horizon the growth. But how do they tap into that? Do they come to someone like yourself and firm and help them into that next level?
Yeah, so there's multiple ways. Like what we do on a base level can be learned, right? You can do it yourself. The problem is like this guy here, you own a couple businesses, and there's no way you're doing your own marketing every single day on your own if you're going to go at a large level. Right. So too many hats, right? Like so we're basically instead of hiring a marketing department, you're hiring a marketing firm to be your marketing department, and you're not paying us health insurance.
Right. That's key.
Yeah, that's the major piece there. But if I already had the organic piece going on a good basis, if I'm in construction, I would definitely bring in Google Ads 100% because they're important. Next door ads, another big one, and then SMS on the customer service side. That's something a lot of people talk about. We talk about getting leads all the time, right? What about like when they come to your house, like knowing they get 3 notifications before you get to the house? What about when they leave and they take a picture of the yard and send you a text message and say what they did for you? And like a little bullet point instruction or a link for you to see a video. Like those little things that you get on the customer service side, that's still marketing because that means you're going to tell your friend or you're going to come again or you're going to ask me to come back out, right?
Yeah, sure. You love that repeat customer.
Yeah, I mean, because one thing, marketing is expensive sometimes, right? So what if it cost me $200 to reach that person? You might have made that money back in the first job if you're in the right profession. If you're not, if you're a landscaper, you probably lost money until the second month, right? Sure. So on that second month, is your customer service good enough to where you're retaining that to make that $200 acquisition cost worth it? Sure. And if you're not, then that's really your system's fault. You gotta get the system right.
Right. Yeah. It's not that your system is broken.
You're broke.
You're broken. So is there like do you have like a testimonial of a little tiny small company that you have helped that has went with you and you've helped them grow along the way?
Yeah, we have plenty of those, man. We have a couple, since I'm talking construction right now, Dan Mills, he owns an HVAC company out of Charlotte. We helped him grow tremendously. He, without getting too much into this stuff, he had a whole bunch of data that he just didn't know what to do with because he'd been in business for so long. And all this data was just sitting there. He wasn't remarketing to it. He wasn't doing email stuff. He wasn't doing SMS work. Like none of that stuff was being done. And I was like, you have 18,000 contacts that have trusted you and paid you money. Whoa, what are you doing? And after I brought that to his attention, he's like, you got a good point. And we started working on it and getting that all going. So we took an entire portion of his business that wasn't being utilized and utilized it. Yeah. And then we have a couple dentistries and stuff I can think of off the top of my head right now. But Dan's the guy. Dan's such a funny character, man. He's you know anybody that's like always knows a guy?
Always knows a guy. Yes.
That's Dan. So like I'll be like, man, I got this thing going on. He's like, no, I know a guy.
Well, with 18,000 contacts, you're bound to meet a guy from time to time.
Yeah.
You know, it's always good to know people too, no matter what industry you're in.
Yeah. He's a good old boy, man. He's a part of BNI, part of Blue, part of all kinds of networking groups. He's just that guy.
Right.
The guy that knows a guy.
The guy that knows a guy. So when you are starting out in your young business, even if you're an older business and you've been successful, you're I don't want to say limping along, but you get by. When you start talking and trying to dive into, how do I get better at marketing? It all just becomes so overwhelming, and people are afraid to pay. I mean, to be honest, I'm afraid to give someone money, for example, and then it doesn't pan out, like it's a lost investment. I have reached out to, I take that back, some well-known, how do you say,
marketing gurus,
popular, they're not sites or search engines, but apps that you would go on so people can find you.
Okay.
And then you say, yes, let's try this. And then the next thing you know, you get this enormous hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of dollars bill, and you go, I didn't get a phone call. Like, not a single phone call. And they're like, yeah, well, we can see here your website got a lot of clicks. And it was like, that translated to $0.
that made no money for me whatsoever.
Right. So, what do you do when someone sits down and looks at you and goes, well, what's the difference between you guys and your, team or firm, as opposed to, well, Yelp has a team and firm too that was going to help us out.
Yeah. So I would say off the gate, man, I'm not trying to hide the fact that marketing is a large investment. Because to do it right, it's not cheap, right? So I'd say 3 years ago, we opened this business about 4 years ago. 3 years ago, we made a mistake, very similar to that. I probably said those exact same words to somebody, put in mouth, right? And literally what went down was I got in this lead game. Like I got into the game where I'd be like, what do you need? Oh, you need more customers? Okay, great. I can supply more customers by getting Facebook ads, Google ads, Instagram ads going well for your company. I'll supply those to you. And then we did that, right? And we did it on a regular basis. Sometimes we'd get somebody 250 leads and they'd still be unhappy because the system was broken. They didn't have a good sales structure. Or I'd give them 40 leads and they'd be unhappy. And it was never this like thing that made them happy.
That happy medium. Right?
Yeah, and I was like,
where's the sweet spot?
We got out of the lead game. That's not what we do anymore. And the reason is because it's never ending losing game. And what we do now instead, and this is really, if you have anybody that's trying to sell you the lead game, you need to run really quick anyway, because it's a bad game to play. Because it can be bad quality.
Oh yeah, I found out the hard way too with another company.
Yeah, they really can. So what we do now is we start at the beginning. We actually go through your CRM. We find out what your actual process
You
is.
say CRM.
So wherever you store any data, if you don't store data, we fix that.
Okay.
So we help you actually get a place to put your data. We make sure how you're reaching people now. We actually analyze what you've currently done, whether it's nothing or something. And we organize your brand side. Like, so if we got you a lead, if you got a lead just through your brand, where would it go? Is it going through this pipeline? Is it the assistant picking it up and they're fully responsible for making this phone call? We structure that whole thing. And after we're completely cool with the way that is set up, then we talk about campaigns. Because we want to supply leads to a structure that works. Because not everybody has infinite budget. If you come to me and say, I have a budget of $10,000, I want to get some leads. I need a couple hundred leads over the next quarter to make me some millions of dollars. I want to be a millionaire. That's fantastic. Let's set a structure up to actually collect those leads first. That's super important. I feel like a lot of marketers, what they do is they jump on that money. They're like, give me that 10 grand.
Of course, sure.
And then they just don't put anything in place.
Right.
They literally just eat that $10,000 up, and then they say, well, the data says that we really should have had a better process in place before we did this. That'd be good to know before you spend my 10 grand.
Yeah, no kidding.
And that's where I'm getting at. A lot of people are scared to have that conversation, as marketers are scared to have that conversation with the customer because they don't want to lose the sale. Because it's like you start having that conversation about need a better structure, and they're like, oh, I don't have money for all that. You really don't have money to waste $6 grand in the next 2 months.
Right.
So now we have that hard conversation. It loses some contracts, but it's usually the contracts that would have been bad anyway.
Is there a budget where you tell folks, look, let's say that you're a $100,000 net company here. You should spend 10%, 1%, 4%, or do you look out and say, what are you comfortable spending?
Yeah, so it's never what you're comfortable spending. I do it back. I do it the other way. I say, what are you wanting? Like, what's your goal? Like,
Okay.
and then I say, this is what you need to spend now to reach that goal. Some people come to me and say, I want to go national. My budget's $500. I dial it back. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, let's have a conversation about this. That's not how that works.
that's let's be realistic.
Exactly. So I ask them what their big goal is, and then I tell them kind of what that's going to take. If you're going to focus all your power into digital to make that happen, this is what it's going to take. And then I bring a budget to them. But most of the time, somebody that's in the 100 grand to 500 grand range, they should be spending about 10%.
Okay.
As we get up to like $1 million to $5 million, you can start dropping to 2%,
Okay.
a little lower.
Right.
Like
Still a ton of money, but
still a ton of money. Yeah. Like we have a $300 million firm that spends less than 1%, but it's still a giant chunk of money.
sure.
And it gets the job done. But when you're first starting, you have to spend a little more to get better known because you're still like investing at that point. You know,
Oh yeah, for sure.
still growing.
So what do you see is like the biggest marketing mistake young companies or even seasoned companies make? Let me ask you this, better phrase it. Is there an old marketing method that just doesn't work and it's kind of throwing them?
Oh man, I'm gonna get some haters for this one.
It's all right.
Radio ads kill me.
Radio ads. And
Yeah.
that's a good, because who listens to the radio?
I haven't listened to the radio by half a decade.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I have a serious radio because it came through the truck for 3 months, but outside of that, I don't listen to radio.
I think it's ad free though.
It is damn, it is ad free.
Seriously, maybe Sirius Radio because it's ad free, and it's I'm pretty sure it doesn't have ads. And if it does, it's very few because I've never even noticed them.
And the other crazy thing too about not radio but podcasts, and like if you're listening to Rogan on Spotify, at the very beginning, that's where he puts all his ads in, right? I just skip them and go right to.
Slide right in.
Yeah, I don't care about VPN and migraines and whatever else. I got it.
Yeah, nobody cares.
But they spend a ton of money.
Yeah, so micro influencers for e-commerce and like the shopping world and the straight to consumer world is actually really big. So like Joe Rogan, like if he would say my name, he'd put me on the map.
Oh God, of course.
Like, it would just be ridiculous. That's because he also gets viewed by 60 million people per podcast.
Yes, exactly.
It's a ridiculous number. Radio is not getting viewed anymore, even though it might be. I don't even think it's playing in the background because they're claiming people are listening to these radio stations. I don't know anybody that listens to radio.
How do we even try to really gather that data? Like,
so that's just whoever has it supposedly on and it's running.
Does it need to be on for like 7 seconds, 7 minutes? Like,
so that's the other thing about radio. Radio, billboards, and all these other things, they don't supply you with data. That's why I don't like them very much. Now, if you have a lot of money, billboards can be cool.
Yeah.
There's a guy, you probably know his name actually, Mark Spain. You know who that is?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
He's a realtor.
Yeah, he's on every billboard.
Now I don't know him personally.
Yeah,
but I know his face.
Everybody knows his face. So if you have a lot of money to spend on billboards, it can be very helpful because literally everybody will know who you are. But you got to be super aggressive. I mean, I bet his budget's like $500,000 a quarter.
Well, I mean, if you want a billboard on I-77 or I-40 right on the interstate, it's going to cost you, not including your artwork, $1,500 a month.
Yeah, and I've seen him on like 30 or 40 billboards just between here and South Carolina.
Man, that dude's got to be selling a bunch of houses
He's
just to afford that.
Absolutely, man. But the problem with going the billboard route or even going the radio route is you can't actually track it.
Right.
So I can spend 10 grand right now on radio, get a couple of good announcements or whatever. They'll say they reached 8 million people or something. They won't have any more information. But they won't be able to tell me where they went. They won't tell me if I sold anything based off their ads. They won't be able to tell me any of that stuff. And they never will be able to. What they can tell you is they can have somebody like me run analytics on your website and find out if you had a spike within the 30-minute window or an hour-minute window after the radio ad happened.
Okay.
And that's all they can do. They can make my analytics and compare it to their marketing just to see if you got a spike, which could be coincidental.
Could be, right?
But maybe not, right? That's a one way to go. But with social media marketing, the reason I like it so much is because even though Mark Zuckerberg, greedy guy, taking all kinds of money from marketing,
sure,
but he will let you reach people for a penny.
That is true.
That's a great number. So like you can reach 1 million people for just a couple $1,000, which is ridiculous. 1 million people.
That's a lot of folks. That's a lot of roofs.
Especially if you can pick the audience. So 1 million people in houses over $1 million. And I want their roofs.
Yep. We're gonna have to chat this podcast.
we'll do some chatting, man. We'll talk it out.
The other thing that's got to be dead too is people who advertise in the newspaper and the yellow pages. When's the last time you received a phone book in the mail? You were used to get the phone book in the mail every year.
Yeah, no,
I would like to know when they stopped doing that, because literally That's gotta be within the last 10 years and stuff.
Yeah, it had to have been. They transferred into like I don't. A lot of them didn't pivot. A lot of them got eaten, but some of them pivoted, like Yelp and
Yeah.
I think what's the other one? I remember the name. Yellow. what's that?
Yellow Pages.
Yellow. Yeah. See, I don't even remember the name. That's how dead they are now. But Yellow Pages, I think, went to like a digital article,
Okay.
but they lost so much room.
Oh,
They probably invested in some other stuff, but they lost a lot of room. There's another mistake that people are making. This is actually a modern thing. Like, this is not an old thing they're doing. It's a modern thing that's out. People are not seeing history quick enough. The directories. People are spending too much time and money in building a business through directories.
Now explain what directories are to people who have no idea.
So for a construction person, you might be aware of this one, Home Advisor,
Yes.
Angie's List.
Yep.
Those are directories. So if I type in those websites you went to find marketers, and you got all those phone calls.
Yep.
Those are directories.
Yeah.
We had a bunch of leads coming from a company called Bark, and it was a directory list. We got a whole bunch of high end leads come through there, and my team got lazy because it just kept sending leads in. But what I realized is the same thing Zillow did, right? Zillow took over the real estate market. I get a whole bunch of leads in. That's a directory. They now control the real estate market over top of the real estate agents, and they're literally taking their business now. Angie's List, Home Advisor now has all the SEO power, all the search engine power whatsoever, all on their directory. And people are just going there now instead of going to you, they're going to Angie's List and trying to find you.
And I'll tell you, I used Home Advisor.
Yeah.
And that was a nightmare because they cannot explain to you how they justify the charge of a lead.
Yeah, no, they can't. You know how they get
And
them?
I have no idea how they get them.
Same way you could. They get them through Google Ads.
No kidding.
Next to ads. Actually, if you after the show, I'll search it on my phone.
Yeah.
And I'll literally show you the Home Advisor ads.
Dude, I fought with them constantly because it's like, how do you send me a $125 job, but you charge me $39 for the week? By the time you go out there, you're saying, guys, you pay for it, fuel and whatnot. I can't make $27 a job.
No.
Like, it just doesn't even. So I asked them, like, how do you justify the price in the lead? Like, they're like, well, sir, it's all based on an algorithm. I was like, well, who set the algorithm? Because it is broke.
There is no app. It's not like that. What it is they're running ads towards a whole bunch of contractors. A whole bunch of consumers that are looking for contractors, and they're taking their average cost, and then they're putting an increase on it. So say their average cost for a lead to come through is $19. They're then putting 100 to 200% on it and selling it to y'all. Now, a $39 lead to the roofer is the same to you, but the roofer's making 4K,
Right.
and you're making $127.
Right.
So it's like it doesn't add up.
No, and they can never, ever explain it.
Well, they can't possibly. That's a problem with it, man. That's why I don't want people to give all this power to the directories, because they can never make an algorithm for every niche.
No,
it wouldn't make sense because they'd have to know every niche that existed first off. Then that's a lot of time just organizing every single pipeline by average and selling, and then it's a bad business model for them. So you just need to take that power. It's not using them.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm doing.
That's
And I told y'all to stop calling. If I need you, I will find you.
I know.
But so it's interesting to see the huge shift in marketing, how everything is social media driven, digital driven, and how you're seeing those old things die away. Like we said, the newspaper, even magazine ads. I mean, I couldn't tell the last time I bought a magazine, even in the airport when I was traveling a ton. I'd always get a couple magazines, right? Who does that now? Now people are on their laptop. You can watch movies on the plane now for free. You're on your phone.
Yeah. Full magazines on your phone.
Full magazines on your phone. That's exactly right. I can pay for the whole subscription and have it right here.
Yeah,
I don't have to, bulk up my carry-on. I don't have to do that.
I don't know how whoever those salespeople are for the magazines. I want their bonus. I want to give you a job because they're still selling magazines.
Yes, they are.
And I have no clue how they're selling magazine ads. And they must be like the best salesperson in the world.
Well, it's just like, I guess there's just generations of folks. Like for me in books, I never purchased an ebook. I don't have a Kindle. I don't have a Kindle because I don't like looking down on the screen.
Yeah.
I'm old school. I'm tactile. I like to flip the page. I like to turn the page. I like to pretend that I'm actually going to read that book I just called. Okay.
And then listen to the Audible.
I don't even do that, dude. I just like to buy that book, look at it, and go, one day I'm going to read you.
Yeah.
It's just something about that. I don't want to lose myself in too much technology.
Yeah.
Like technology is great, especially when it works, as we saw earlier when the delay get started.
Yeah.
But like the Apple Watch. Buddy of mine gave me his old Apple Watch. I love it. I wear it from time to time. But I almost feel like I am too sometimes engaged in a screen, technology, and a damn battery charger. Everything takes a charger.
It does.
And it drives me bananas. My watch should work.
That's 100% true. It should work. It should work without
Bingo, it's working.
It's running.
But that's it. I guess maybe I'm a little bit more kind of old school at heart when it comes to some of those things. I see the need for it. It's a necessary evil. Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah.
With technology and everything as it's growing. But I like to kind of keep a hold here. Like I still write handwritten letters to people.
Oh yeah, you do.
I do.
See, I can't even write anymore.
and I write it in cursive.
Oh, I can't even read cursive. So he can write letters that I can't read.
So it's like I have my own language, really.
Yeah, you really
So
do.
how old are you?
I'm 31.
So you're 31 years old, which is interesting. Did they teach you knew how to write in cursive? Because I don't think they got rid of it.
Once upon a time, I knew how to write in cursive.
So I have read along the way that they're actually getting rid of in the school system of cursive handwriting.
Yeah, and I'd be completely for it, and you'd probably hate that.
Yeah, I would hate it. Yeah. As a matter of fact, I looked on eBay and Amazon to buy the old school cursive handwriting books to stock them, so I'm getting my kids.
No,
So they can still learn. Well, I mean, they'll be able to communicate with one another in a different language. Nobody's going to know.
That's 100% true, man. I think it's cool to know it, I guess. But like the way I saw it is, I'm not gonna go back and relearn it because the only time I use cursive is for a signature.
Yep.
And the bank accepts straight line.
Yes.
So they don't even accept cursive; they accept my signature, which is whatever that is.
Correct. I mean, as a nurse, I've signed my name to charts hundreds of thousands of times.
How many times was it legible?
Oh, zero. Even the documentation, now everything's electronic. But when you go back and read the record, you're like, now what did that say? And it's like, what do I need it to say?
I could just drop the line.
Yeah, that definitely says they were happy when they left.
Well, I guess you'd have to work at a hospital. If you worked at a hospital, you'd have to have cursive.
No, you can write in cursive. You can write in cursive, or you can write in straight, whatever that's called. What's non-cursive called?
I thought doctors only wrote cursive though, so I figured you had to read that.
They do. Well, in shorthand, cursive and medical shorthand. So that's a whole different kind of thing. You have to learn. But what is that called when people don't write in cursive? It's called print. It's called. Thank you, Austin. It's called print.
The 2 cents and the monkey in the audience.
Yeah, appreciate you getting that like that. But yeah, thank you. This is our first live in audience crowd. So yeah, it's just interesting. Do you see something on the horizon that is going to change marketing? And what I mean by that is I feel like once Facebook started and then Instagram and all this other stuff, I mean, it just like was. But is there a new wave that's coming already?
There is. So there's something called something called this heavy adoption curve, or heavy adoption curve. Sorry. So basically, like the iPhone got heavily adopted in the United States, and that's what made all this new technology go crazy. Is everybody felt like they had to have an iPhone to live, to do anything. Sure, it became a thing, so the technology pushed. That's coming soon with AR and VR, so augmented reality and virtual reality. Yeah. So augmented reality has already happened all over the place. People don't realize it. So if you download the IKEA app right now, you can literally. I would never buy IKEA. Sorry, IKEA. It just takes too long to put your stuff together. True. It's way too long.
Where's the damn screw?
Yeah, it's ridiculous. But you take their app, which is super awesome. You hold it up. I can click this dresser. I can see the dresser, the actual size on the wall, wherever I want it to be, and see how it's going to match my house, and then press it, buy it.
What?
Yeah, I can do all that, colored, shaded, everything. Engagement rings. Say you have a happy girlfriend that thinks she's getting married soon, and she wants to start looking and shopping in engagement rings. You can hold your phone up, augmented reality, see every single ring on your finger from the e-commerce site that's related to K Jewelers. Every single, without going anywhere. Every one of them right here on that thing. You talking about open the wallet.
Are you kidding me?
No, it's all real stuff, man. It's and that's already here. Augmented reality is already Virtual reality is happening as well, but they're trying to attack the entertainment industry right now, like the fun, have play games status. But they're starting to attack business people too. So for example, a company like mine, if I got a customer, say you came in as a customer, I would learn all about you, right? My team would create a war room pretty much. They do a whiteboard up and everything. And then they would have all these notes for you. They'd probably have the remarkable out taking notes, 5 different places. I'd have 3 different employees with all their knowledge in their head. Then myself, in VR, you could have a room dedicated to just you. And 5 years later, that room would still be there. So say you were still my customer, everybody had quit except for the new person that's hired. I could say, hey, check this room out so you can understand where this customer came from, where they're at now, where they're going next. They can see that war room 5 years ago, every single detail that we got without bothering you one time.
That is mind-blowing. Sitting here hearing you say that makes me think before we know it, and they may be doing it already. Just you got to remember, I'm nobody from nowhere, and I don't know anything about anything. But I could see realtors in VR going through like these multi-million-dollar homes instead of meeting their client, which obviously some people buy stuff like this. But some people, they're like, don't worry about it. I've sent you the link or whatever. Put your VR goggles on, which I've never done that before. It looks fun. And I could see someone taking a tour through the home.
Yeah, so
and actually like being able to sit on the couch and look around.
It's coming, man. It's already set up for it too. Like, you know what EXP is? EXP Realty.
Yeah, I've seen that.
So basically, I don't know their exact business model, but roughly they're basically pulling everybody together into this like giant. It's not the right word for it, but it's like a giant. They're like literally taking real estate agents, real estate brokers, pulling them into the company and saying, hey, you can manage this area. We'll throw you leads. You can get your own leads. You'll have the EXP brand. So like taking over areas one real estate agent company at a time. And what they do is they actually like to buy a lot of those homes that are on Zillow, which have no realtor attached to them.
Right.
So what they do is they take the VR and they're able to actually get full maps of the house done. And your customer can literally just check it out. I remember it was about a year ago, but it was probably before the pandemic. I have a lot of friends and acquaintances and people I know who are realtors, and that brand or company had come up, and I cannot remember for the life of me who this person was, but they were kind of poo-pooing on it a little bit. Oh, they're the ones, and it kind of was like this kind of far out there theory. Mm-hmm.
But then I'm seeing more and more people kind of gravitate out there, and I think, especially maybe around here or very soon, they have a presence and be an even larger presence. The interesting thing about them is I believe they offer some sort of profit sharing, like a.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I mean, you invest a little bit of money, and there was a lady on Facebook who posted about it in less than a year's time, like 6 figures.
Oh wow! So they jumped up real quick.
Real quick, yeah. Maybe it's profit sharing or stock options, or it's something like that. But it's one of those things you go.
It's also
That's
scary.
pretty good.
In my mind, things that are too good
Mhm.
are usually too good for a reason. They're setting it up, right? Like in my mind, if I was the EXP and I was going around trying to take all these people in, I'd be trying to gather all the power I can. Sooner or later, all those real estate agents are going to be sales reps. That's all they're going to be. You're going to have all these leads coming through because EXP is such a big name. And you're just going to be filtering round robin status to these real estate agents on a smaller commission because you're giving it to them versus finding it.
Didn't find it.
Now they're slowly transforming into an inside or outside sales rep. I don't like giving all that power to one entity.
Yeah, that's a good point too, and that's a good thought. I think there's a lot of things that are necessary evils that come along with technology and VR, because you're going to think a lot of people are going to be out of jobs too.
Yeah.
I mean, because if I can sit down in my house and I can put on my VR goggles, and I can go to a link and I can tour a house, now I can deal directly with company X. I don't need, Christian Webb to sit there and make his 3%.
Yeah.
Because I've walked through it all by myself and I don't need it. And so there's a lot of things that we got to be, it's cool, it's innovative, but there will be jobs that are lost.
Lots of repercussions.
There'll be some jobs that are created, but I think the net will be a loss.
Yeah, innovation is usually slow because a little slower because you have to like wait for people to train. Because really they're like in augmented reality and VR, there's going to be a whole bunch of software engineers, there's a whole bunch of IT jobs over there. But real estate agents transfer into IT.
Well, that kind of goes back a couple of years ago when, they were kind of the catchphrase was learn to code, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's kind of hard to train a 41-year-old nurse who's never worked in anything sort of IT to go over here and learn to code something. And now, there's, people who work on the pipeline who are out of work, and they're saying, well, we're just going to transform over there to windmill farms. And it's like, I feel like that sounds good in theory, but how long does it take to transition from working at a rubber plant to working on a windmill? I feel like it's not a 6-week online course.
It can't be.
It can be, and plus if it's hard to teach an old dog new tricks, right? Yeah. So what do you do with that workforce that's in that 50 to 62-year-old range? What do you do?
Sadly, in our style of government, I think whoever is not willing to think for themselves kind of falls by the wayside.
Yeah,
that's just how we do it in the United States, which is kind of crazy sometimes, but it is what it is. We give those warning signs. That's all we can do. Right
there, and there's warning signs. Yeah, man, we do that. But it's interesting too, because what was it? And this is probably will fall back to where you guys can help. Do you remember years ago, like you couldn't, and it's even so today, but we were talking about how do you find a carpenter? Where do you find a plumber? And there was nothing in the trades, right? No one was pushing the trades. But now in the last couple of years, you're seeing more push for people like, hey, maybe college isn't for everyone. Maybe you go to a vocational school. Maybe you do learn to become a roofer, start your own business, become a plumber. It's actually okay to do manual labor and work for a living and go out there and be an entrepreneur, start your own business, as opposed to going to school and majoring in art appreciation.
Yeah, you have a lot of government. You have a lot of government marketing and heavy large construction marketing for that.
Really?
Yeah. So a lot of that's PR efforts, right? Like people sharing the shiny parts of construction. That's actually so on the BCB side, when residential is like my startup side, the commercials are actually large commercial contractors. And we found this window to where like commercial contractors between $100 and $700 million a year in revenue have extreme troubles finding employees.
Yeah.
And they're not spending any money to brand their jobs, their training, their culture, their events, their philanthropic activities, any of that, which matters a lot. Right now, it's insane. I had a guy tell me that this is just a regular position at a company. To get a project manager at a large company like that, that's worth any of their salt, you have to offer them 6 figures plus a percentage of your company. A project manager.
All right. What?
You should have applications. You should have a stack of people looking for business.
Yes.
Looking for jobs. And they're having to give them a percentage because it's so hard to hire. So hard to get any employees for construction.
It's it's interesting. I had this conversation just this weekend about how hard it is to get someone to come to work right now. And it's you scratch your head and you go, we're still in this pandemic. People are out of work. People are actually hiring. And, I remember who it was. It was a local restaurant here. And they're like, restaurants were devastated. Now they're on their way back up.
Yep.
And they can't find anybody to come to work.
Nobody. I have the exact same problem. I can't say their names; it's a little more PR heavy, but it's basically a franchise company that deals in restaurants. And what happened is they're getting paid. Their old employees that left and are getting unemployment. They're making more money currently than they were making at a restaurant. So they don't want to come back. They will come back for less pay.
Yeah,
they'll come work and make less money.
It's interesting because I believe there were some people about a year ago saying we have to be careful because this may happen. People will make just a little bit less, either as much or maybe even more, stay at home and they won't go back to work.
The people who make minimum wage are making more currently on unemployment.
It's just, and those folks who said that were crucified.
I know, and it's so true.
Well, yeah, it is true. To an extent, it is true. Yeah. Depending on the profession and what you do. If you're an attorney, you're probably not making as much. No. Divorce rates have got to be up though.
Oh man.
I would love to see that stat. In the pandemic, the divorce rate has to went up 10%.
I definitely learned a lot about my relationship.
I have two, and honey, I love to go to work.
No, love that 8 hours a day.
Love that 8 hours a day. But it also you learn a lot about yourself. You learn about relationship and your spouse, and it's good to have some time to yourself though. That drive to work that you hate, but you get to listen to what you want radio, if you listen to that, or the podcast you like, or a book, or just
Just silence.
just silence.
That's my favorite. A little silence with a little douse of audiobook.
There you go.
That's me on the way to work.
But now, so I just met you like 45 minutes ago, but you seem like someone who is very involved in your work.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like, you seem like somebody, I don't want to say a workaholic, but you definitely put more than 40, 50 hours a week.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's the work of an entrepreneur is never done.
It's never done.
And the people, it's scattered. Is what it is. You don't start a business and you think you're just going to work less. That's not how that works at all. It's like I'll work from sure I'll get up later and I'm the boss tell me to get up earlier or whatever. But that same day I get up 30 minutes late, I'll have to work from 7 to 9 that evening because somebody wants to meet me for dinner,
Sure.
and drinks, and it's very important to my business.
You have to.
They don't
you have
count
to be
those.
available. Yeah, that doesn't count.
Yeah,
Right.
even though it's very fatiguing.
Well, sure, and even the constant text messaging that you get.
Oh man,
I
my
mean,
phone's lit up constantly.
emails have probably you get a lot of emails because you're the CEO of a company, but you have emails, but text messaging has really surpassed an email.
Good thing they're free now.
Right? Could you imagine if still charging 3 or 10 cents a text?
I wouldn't have a business. I'd be bankrupt.
Yeah, I forgot about that. I'll never forget way back when I had a shared account with my girlfriend. I remember I got this thing on my flip Nextel, right?
Yeah.
And it was like, hey, I'm texting you. And I was like, this is 10 cents. Why the hell are you sending this? Call me. And I was so furious.
So you're probably since you're 10 years, right? So you're probably out of the home at that point.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. I was
So
23.
that same conversation with me was me flirting with girls at like 13, 14 years old. So I had to explain to my parents why they had a giant text bill at 14 years old. They were like, "What is this?" And I'm like, "Well, this is Susie at school. I really like her, and I've been texting her at night and stuff."
Yep, exactly.
Trying to defend my text bill.
It's time to go mow yards, Christian, because you have a bill to pay off.
Yeah, well, I hated mowing, man. I don't know how you contractors do it. I'm like the clean contractors, I like to say.
There you go.
I worked at United Rentals, Sunbelt Rentals, and I own a company that focuses on construction. And I have never ever done any actual contractor work.
It's smart.
my real dad broke me with this like over a decade ago, probably like 15 years ago. He took me on a roof. I was like, I want to make some side money.
Yeah.
He owned a roofing firm. He took me on top of a roof to do a full day's work on the roof, like 15, 16 years old. No, I was like, man, kudos to y'all that can get it done every day, wake up and kill that stuff. Y'all are
Absolutely.
Monsters.
Yep.
I just couldn't do it.
Yeah, I'm not cut out for all that. I mean, I'm a nurse and I'll run a junk company. And what do those two have in common? And that's the beauty of it. So who was your big influence to become an entrepreneur, to have that drive and to be successful? Who's someone that you look up to?
Well, it keeps changing, right? And I want to give credit where credit's due, but the person I give credit to probably isn't even nobody even knows who the guy is, right? I was a personal trainer at 21, and I was literally I was just sitting there like, what do I do? How do I grow this? How do I make it happen? This VP of Fitness Connection at the time, or Sports and Fitness at the time. Now it's Fitness Connection. Garrett Merrick. Nobody's gonna know his name. He's just a guy who did a good thing. He showed me a book by Brian Tracy to help me understand how humans think and how people buy and want to understand, want to understand what you sell. But basically, like taking the time to understand what somebody actually needs before selling them a solution to it is basically the full concept out of all these books, right? But that was my first introduction to new education in business. And he got me to actually read that book. I mean, I was like a spunky little 20-year-old. I mean, I'm surprised he even got me to read it. I was going to the club Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
Of course, you're a personal trainer, you're working out, getting in shape.
Yeah.
You were married at 20.
No, I wasn't.
Exactly.
Just
The world was your oyster, my friend.
just partied it up. He gave me this one book, and man, I really put all of them into play. And I grew that personal training business to the point where I was like, okay, and I became a general sales manager for that company. I became the VP of sales and marketing for that company, and I transferred to United Rentals and Sunbelt Rentals and did a whole bunch of cool stuff for them. And I was like, I'm tired of putting my hands in somebody else's face, so I opened my own company. And
how old were you?
I must have been 27.
So 27, I started your own thing.
Yeah, 27. And I started the second company, I guess 29.
Wow.
Yeah. And they're really like, they're almost one and the same company. They just focus on two different industries.
Right.
I guess my brain just wanted to keep thinking in one direction.
That's right. That's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. Linear. So is there a book out there that someone who's on the fence of starting their own business, where they do have an entrepreneurial spirit, but they just don't know how to take that first step, or
As an actual to become an entrepreneur.
to do it? Yes.
This is going to be such a cliche answer.
It's okay.
So for somebody who hasn't actually started a business and or is looking for like instant motivation, you got to get you some Grant Cardone, man. Like that guy's a monster.
Is Grant Cardone?
You don't know who that is?
No, never heard of him.
Well, it's not going to help you. It's not going to help you that much. But basically, it's going to help anybody who doesn't have the business inside yet.
Okay.
It's going to motivate them quickly. You and I have heard this stuff like a million times now, so this kind of brushes over.
Mhm.
But man, 10x, his book 10x is mind blowing.
Okay, I've heard of 10X.
Yeah, so he created that entire movement. So I've read his books back before he was just kind of famous, and then he like created that 10x movement. So that whole 10x thing is him.
No kidding.
He does millions of people out in Vegas every year, and he now has like Cardone Capital, which is worth like billions of real estate dollars, and he owns a sales company that's like also billions of dollars.
Well,
Monster.
It never hurts either. Even if you're growing, if you're becoming successful, it never hurts to go back and reread something from the beginning, because you may have forgot something.
Yeah.
There's secrets, there's tools in there that you can still apply.
Yeah. But I remember like getting a spark of motivation. Like I was like jogging down the road and I was like Rocky, and I was like, yeah, this guy's so awesome. I can't wait to do this stuff tomorrow.
That's what you need, though.
Yeah.
That was your spark. That's what you needed. That was your motivation.
That was that 10x book. Though.
That was the 10X.
Yeah, that was the 10x book. He spiked me, but I haven't got a spike like that since. It's just like I get a lot of knowledge out of books.
Yeah.
But that was the last spike I got out of a book, because I feel like all books kind of repeat similar things.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So as someone who's started some businesses, you're young, successful, do you watch shows like The Profit or like Shark Tank?
No, I don't.
I was gonna say, if you do, you sit there and go, no, that's terrible.
Every now and then I'll catch myself watching Shark Tank, but only because it came up to that Facebook feed while I have it playing while I drive or something.
Yep.
I'm trying to listen to it. But most of the time, I'm either trying to spend time with my family or I'm doing continuing education. Like I like to actually pull up like use cases and things that are being used. Like I'll reach out to, like, for example, a VR company. I'll reach out to a VR CEO and I'll ask him to send me over some use cases that they've already accomplished and stuff they're trying to sell. And I'll kind of read through it and learn about it, because then I know what's coming. Because who's going to be pushing it the most? CEO of the VR company. He's trying to sell it stuff. He's trying to make money, right?
Exactly.
So he knows everything he can sell every end. So I literally look through all of it, see what's coming. That's the kind of studies I like. I'm trying to get away from like the hoorah books and into like the actual practical use case studies of my industry now.
Huh. I mean, that makes sense. Especially if you're trying to learn and grow from yourself, you tap into others and you see something coming down the pipe, and if they're, you're trying to stay ahead, right?
Yeah.
You don't want to get behind the 8 ball, you want to be in front of it, right?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And like connections are the biggest thing now, man. Like I've always been like who you know is how you grow.
It's very important.
So important. Like I just had a meeting today with somebody who knows like half of Charlotte. Great guy, fantastic man. And most people would be scared to even meet with this guy. He's intimidating, but he's such like a gentle giant, nice guy all the way around. But he literally probably has 20 connections that could make my business successful for the next 15 years without even thinking about it. He's I know this guy. He's good.
That's it.
That's what he had to say.
Don't you think, too, like in business, especially if it's something where you're providing a service, if you just do what you say you're going to do, if you actually show up on the day that you're supposed to do the job.
In contracting, in construction, that'll literally get you everywhere.
They will. I mean,
because all your competitors won't.
So is there like a cool story that you have that someone brought to you, or there's like a small company that was just this cool idea and it just started into a company, or it started as like this little kitschy thing, and all of a sudden you're like, holy crap, that thing really worked and it's taken off.
Yeah, so it's funny that you were bringing up the beer barrels, or what is that, whiskey barrel?
It's a whiskey barrel, yeah.
Whiskey barrel. So it's funny about whiskey barrels because there's a guy who was starting to do those out of his basement. He was like cutting them in half, and then cutting that, making it either a tall dresser, like a tall bar shelf, or a short bar shelf, and they put it inside of a wall unit. So like make it like a little bar setup.
That's exactly what I'm wanting for my man cave.
Yeah, so exactly. So I think he kind of started that thing, So he created the first couple of those and started selling them for fun to friends. And then all of a sudden, like he got like overwhelmed.
Really?
Like within 1 quarter, he had over 700 orders, and he was one guy.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, he couldn't do it though. He was like, who's going to help me?
Yeah, exactly.
700 orders, like money's good, but where do I get it? But that actually, he hired a whole bunch of people quick, taught him how to do it, and he's actually still in business right now.
You're kidding.
Yeah, it's slowed down a little bit during COVID times, but like before COVID, he was pumping out money.
And he'll come back and he'll pump out money because people have spent time renovating, making rooms, turning, that will, whatever dip he's had will come back.
Yeah, we all talk about losing a whole bunch of money, but for some reason, remodeling of the homes have went up by like 150%.
Yeah, well, that's what I've been scratching my head about. It's like, so no one has a job, everybody's at home. Why is the price of lumber up? Like, where's all this money coming from? Like,
Yeah, so the price of lumber is actually sketchy. You not heard about that? Okay, without saying too many names, a giant firm that owns the entire e-commerce sector, no hints there, bought up. So there's 4 giant suppliers for lumber 84.
it's 84 lumber.
84 lumber. Back. I said it backwards. Sorry, contractors.
Sorry.
But yeah, but basically, they got 3 of the people who actually supply this out of the 4 to agree to take a premium of $3 to $4 per piece of whatever style they wanted, as long as they got all the firsts. Like if they get to use all of them. Now here's the catch: is this giant e-commerce company actually committed to doing 55 million square foot of development, and they made these 3 people agree to that much product.
Whoa.
Yeah, so that's where your lumber went. Yeah,
It's stored.
yes, everything they can get stored, and everything that's not stored yet will be stored soon.
So they're holding. It's like gold.
Yeah, they're holding it because they got to move it. Like they're trying to get all that development is usually what happens in an entire year across the country.
Yeah, right.
And they're going to do it with one company. So they said, I want all this, and they paid $3 or $4 per extra
Right.
to get that. And they were like, yeah, sure, make me rich, it's fine. Okay, I'm cool with that.
Right.
And only one person said no to it, and that's where we're getting the rest of what's left.
No kidding.
And it's at a giant markup because it's the only thing out there.
It's the only thing out there. Because I think some of these lumber companies, if I understand correctly, I mean, yes, lumber's to the roof, but they weren't making the money that people think they were making because they budgeted for X amount of dollars. So they bought X amount of lumber, and then 6 months later, the lumber's really expensive, and they need to go buy more.
Yes.
So yeah, their budget of whatever millions is like, we didn't see that coming.
Yeah, we got giant job sites right now with some commercial contractors that are having to put on hold. They're having to switch to steel for some of the erection stuff, and they were going to use wood not because of the price, because the price is still a tiny bit different on metal or steel, but but it was the wait time.
It's available.
90 to 120 days on the wood, and they can get the steel in 30. And these jobs are like, you have 12 to 16 months to do the whole job. Right. So if your materials don't arrive for 120 days, you're going to get that penalty on the end.
Oh, big time. Yeah, for sure.
And what a lot of people don't know is contractors take giant penalties when they're late, or as long as the developer was smart about the contract.
Right. Yeah, because there's a penalty.
Large penalty. You saw 77. Whoever's doing 77 got their tail in action quick.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I saw that. I saw the news article of them getting charged like I think it was like 75 grand a day or something. And I was like, oh, and then all of a sudden, every piece of equipment on 77 was in use all day, all night.
Yeah, we're not stopping.
Yeah, this is getting done because we're gonna go broke.
Well, yeah, and that I feel like as long as I've been driving to Charlotte the last 11 years, there's been construction.
There really has. And now that I like what they did. A lot of people are trying to boycott that 77. Man, I drove it all the way here. Like, that's just that's just who I am, man.
You get the pass?
Yeah, 80 miles an hour all the way here. Like,
and nothing.
And passing 23 and 25, stop traffic on the right. So I made up probably 30 minutes of traffic time. And everybody's like, you shouldn't boycott. And I'm like,
well, I was one of those folks who was like, why are we doing this again? And then when they run the numbers, you have to have X amount of volume of traffic taking a toll lane to pay the minimum threshold. And if you don't, Mecklenburg County takes a penalty. I think Iowa County is in there somewhere to help with that. But then when they showed the data showed that they're never going to beat the minimum threshold. So then I was like, as a person who drove all the way down to Charlotte 5 days a week and back home, I was like, this is going to cost me, because initially they were thinking, well, it may cost you $20 a day to get to work, maybe $20 back, something like that, 16 and 16. And I thought there, I said to myself, no, wait a minute, that's a lot of money,
Oh, it stacks up.
or I can sit there and not pay all that money. I was like, that just doesn't make any sense. So what they did is I figured out, oh, they're saying 20. People are here trying to fight for like $3, $4.
Yeah.
They really want 12. Like 12 was their number they wanted anyway. So they
Yeah.
shot the moon.
So everybody get mad and take
And they're
that
like,
12.
12, but we really got it. And they were like, sweet, we wanted 11. So it's all a game, right?
No, absolutely.
Everything's a game.
I think of it as time though, like I never fight against convenience, period. And that's why I'll never fight against innovations.
True.
Like AR and VR, they're coming, whether you like it or not, pitch fit. Doesn't
Yeah,
matter.
it's gonna be
coming.
here.
Automated trucks coming. It's gonna be
It's
sad. A
true.
lot of truck drivers that are training right now to get their license are gonna be screwed out of a job in like 6 years.
It is true. It is coming. And that, I do take the toll lane, but if I see Google Maps, or
Yeah.
Waze or whatever, I'm over here. For the $4, I can get home and see my kids for a half hour.
So you name one time that convenience lost. And I would probably say you studied way too hard to find that.
Yeah, exactly.
I can't think.
What you stay away. It's like, find me the man, I'll find you the crime.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, newspaper's never gonna die. Okay. All right, cool.
Right.
Yeah. No offense to your written letters. Letters are not gonna die.
As long as I keep that stamp, I can
Yeah,
still stamp.
I didn't even know they made those.
Stamps.
Yeah, I thought they like everything's like automated now, straight through Amazon and stuff. I don't think
You don't write a check and pay your bills.
no, all the money.
I'm just kidding.
Let's say you said kid, and I was like 41 is 10 years.
Yeah, exactly. So how to do that?
Yeah.
So tell the folks out there how they can get in touch with you if they're interested in learning more or reaching out to you guys to see how you can help their small, medium, even large business grow.
Yeah, so instead of listing my entire website on here, just find me on LinkedIn, Christian Webb, CEO of Business Marketing Solutions Group in blue collar. I got trouble. The construction branding. That's actually a trademark story, believe it or not. There was this company. I'll go and tell the story real fast. So, big blue collar branding is what we're running here. Construction company first time.
Yeah.
We had all the logos made. Some company out of Portland, Oregon, had a company called Blue Collar Agency, and our trademark lawyer said it overlapped a little too much. So we had to completely change our logo, our brand, and our everything. And I still love that name. So I say it every now and then on accident. But it is big construction branding.
Big construction brand.
And the new logo is fantastic. It is a giant gorilla on a wrecking ball.
Get out.
Yeah, the old one was just like this Russian looking construction guy with like built muscles. Gorilla beats it every time.
I don't need to bookmark that because I want to ask you something too. When we get off the phone. So can they find you guys on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, any of that stuff?
Yeah, you can find us anywhere. If you want to get me directly though, go to my LinkedIn at the Christian Webb, CEO of Business Marketing Solutions Group. Our Instagram is just BMSG Marketing. And I believe our Facebook is just me as well, Business Marketing Solutions Group, or my name, Christian Webb.
All right. Two out of just off the cuff questions. Favorite movie of all time?
Favorite movie of all time? Pocahontas.
Wouldn't have guessed that.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
I have more questions now.
Oh yeah. Actually, I'm not a movie guy, but if I had to say best movie, I like Endgame, man.
Endgame.
Marvel, the final Marvel movie.
Never watched Marvel.
What?
Never seen it.
Dude, it was that last battle scene was so fantastic. They took that glove and then you see all the heroes just vanish and powder. You gotta watch it.
Endgame?
Yeah, Endgame was good. The final one more. I don't care what's any of them. You gotta watch that.
All right. And what is favorite band of all time?
Favorite bands? Let's see here.
If you had to pick one concert to go to, last concert before COVID, what would you go to?
Last concert before COVID. I'd say, oh man, you got me there again. Let's see here. Say Kenny Chesney.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
All right. I thought you were gonna go to REM.
REM?
No, okay. No.
I used to like electric dance music and like that, but my ears can't take it anymore.
No. Is that like the electronic dance music where it's the DJs and
Yeah, like you got like Tiesto and all the big names that are all over Vegas and stuff. I used to like that stuff, but like it comes with too much. It always comes with a hangover.
right?
Like if you're listening to that, you're also drinking.
Of course, I would assume.
Every
I
single
would have to drink to listen to it. I'm old. I mean, I'm your grandpa. Get off the lawn.
Kenny Chess is good, man. And he always does a good concert too. What do you call it that? But it's always a lot of fun.
Oh yeah, no, that's a good one. That's a good one. Well, man, I appreciate it. I've enjoyed meeting you. Thanks so much for coming on the podcast. You guys reach out to Christian Webb. You can find him on LinkedIn. As always, like, subscribe, tell everyone about the channel. And I'd like to say a quick thank you to the show supporters, Hunka John Collin, One Caller Moves It All, to Integrity Securities, and also to States Vegas Clothing Company and Red Buffalo for letting us host here again. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you again soon. See ya.